Saludos and welcome back. It's your host, Gabe Morales. So, after doing the Aryan Brotherhood and Mexican Mafia updates, I thought I'd give you a real quick update on the Nuestra Familia too. In October 2023, former New Flower prison gang member and NF shot caller Samuel Sammy Luna and former NF State General Antonio Chucu Guillen reached sentence to 175 months in federal prison. Luna was described in court records as being Guillen's liaison, who'd been placed in charge of street regiments in Contra Costa County, Santa Clara County, and a prison regiment at New Folsom. Guillen pled guilty to racketeering conspiracy involving murder plots that authorities say were only thwarted because federal investigators were secretly listening in as the two talked on their contraband prison cell phones. Both men were already serving life in prison for violent crimes. Chuco was notorious for planning the execution of well-respected former NF General Robert Bramba Viramontes, as covered in multiple previous episodes. Luna Guillen and federal state NF generals David D.C. Cervantes and James Conejo Perez were all indicted in 2021 during Operation Quiet Storm, along with dozens of other Nuestra Familia and Nortenos soldados, as part of a federal investigation. Attempted murder charges stem from murder conspiracies intercepted through wiretaps. In all cases, the victims were incarcerated in jails or prisons when they were targeted, and many were moved to a secure housing area before they could be stabbed. One typical example of an incriminating conversation is Guillen allegedly telling a court conspirator to make sure you have two effing seasoned soldiers on him that know how to effing kill mother effers. He said, all the victims were targeted for violating gang rules, for such things as dealing with rival gang members not authorized, to someone who was targeted for allegedly killing a fellow Norteño without authorization. It should be noted here that Guillen, Cervantes, and Perez all dealt with traditional enemies, in particular the Mexican Mafia and Sureños, to make money, which was one of the major beefs they had with the federal faction of the NF that insisted on no peace, no dealing at all with the Dodgers, as Skip Villanueva would say, code word for the Sureños and Mexican Mafia. Cervantes was in the role of the General Advocate's Office, which is basically the appeals court for the NF. D.C. Cervantes, in addition to being one of the head generals on the overall governing body, who decided on whether members who had violated gang rules should be attacked or killed, oversaw NF street gangs in the Kings County Regiment. Cervantes was also convicted of 2 conspiracies to murder former NF member Lorenzo Guzman in 2019 and John Reyna in 2019, as well as 3 attempted murders, that of Antonio Sombra Villagrana in 2015, John Knockers, a.k.a. Dog Muskis, in 2016, and Matt, a.k.a. Maton Rocha, in 2019. Rocha, in particular, was very loyal to the federal faction and was viciously attacked for it, but I understand took away the weapon and almost killed his attacker. Conejo Perez was known as the General of Pintas for the state faction, and appointed individuals for the NF in all prisons where the NF had a presence. In addition, he also oversaw street gangs in San Mateo County. George Puppet Franco directed street gangs in San Joaquin County and was a member of the Inner Circle, considered to be a high-ranking captain, and at one time was Chuco Guillen's secretary. He was found guilty of conspiracy to murder Guzman and attempting to murder Rocha. Guillermo, a.k.a. Sleepy, a.k.a. Capone Solorio, sometimes called Caps, also served on the Inner Council as a captain and oversaw street gangs in Monterey County. In addition, he directed a large drug trafficking organization in Fresno. The jury found Solorio guilty of attempting to murder Rocha. Currently, Guillen and Luna are housed at the ADX in Florence, Colorado, where most of the NF leadership is housed. I know that some people have stated that whenever Guillen got to the ADX, that he would be killed by the federal NF. But you have to understand, the ADX is a fairly large facility, and they have different units where they can separate individuals. I believe that Guillen is only housed with former California State NF. Solorio, Franco, Cervantes, and Perez are all listed not being in BOP custody as of June 12, 2024, and are all housed in undisclosed locations. It said that Cervantes and Perez are old and disabled and are in wheelchairs. Others indicted on that case were Trinidad Trino Martinez, who remains at Solano Prison, Esteban Trujillo, who is housed at the ADX, Salvador Gangster Castro, and Brian Turtle Robledo, a location not disclosable. Alex Sleepy Irigoyen is at the ADX, as well as Edgardo Big Evil Rodriguez and Robert KJ Maldonado being at the ADX with him. Rocky Fox Bracamonte is at Pollock, and Juan Drifter Soto, Eric Baby G. Zarate, and Joshua Buda Cortez. Locations are all unknown at this time. The convictions were the result of a 5-year investigation into the organization by the FBI, which resulted in 54 gang members and associates being prosecuted in an effort to, quote, cut off the head of the snake. But I believe, like so many times before, we're seeing in California bloodshed from the vacuum effect as individuals jockey for position. As far as the state faction leadership being removed from the California system, I understand that some prisons, NF and Nortenos Soldados, are not abiding by the peace treaty, formerly known as the End of Hostilities Agreement. But in some prisons, they are still dealing with Serenos and MA. Basically, I've been told by CDC staff members as well as convicts that there's a lot of confusion about things. Basically, anarchy. So we'll see how that all plays out. And the feds may have inadvertently strengthened the NF into a bigger, more solidified faction and help spread it even further via the BOP system to other states, such as in my next example. As far as Washington State NF and Associates that I've mentioned many times and people often scoffed at that there was no such thing, I know for a fact the NF has been present in the state going back to the late 1970s. I will do an episode on a more recent case on them shortly after it is adjudicated. But I will tell you now that I know most of the players in that case very well. In April of 2024, federal authorities indicted 34 people, many of them from eastern Washington and my hometown of Yakima. Investigation began in 2018, focused on Yakima, Walla Walla, and Spokane counties. And these operations extended into Louisiana, where the Pollock Prison is located, a stronghold for the NF, Colorado, and even into Arkansas. When the indictments were announced, law enforcement seized hundreds of roosters from locations in rural Zilla and Outlook, Washington, located in Yakima County. They were allegedly used in cockfights. Authorities also seized 37 guns, thousands of rounds of ammunition, and more than 8,000 fentanyl-laced pills, as well as pounds of cocaine and methamphetamine. Many of the gang's leaders are currently serving life sentences at the ADX Federal Prison in Florence, Colorado, which is supposed to be one of the BOP's most secure prisons. Yet they still get their orders out and have hundreds of young Nortenos in California and other states, like Washington State, willing to work for them to further their reputation and criminal career. Just so you know, I'm scheduled to be a main speaker about the NF on a Vice TV segment to be aired later this year, as well as should be appearing on the Bulldogs episode and other shows they have produced. As far as the Black Gorilla family, I really don't have enough new information to give a serious update. And, as I've always stated, they were and still are the most political prison group in the California system and don't consider themselves to be a prison gang. Their numbers have dwindled greatly in recent years, while they steadily grew in the Maryland and BOP system. We'll be talking about those developments within the BGF on a Vice episode also. If you want to know more about these groups, I have detailed books on all of them, available via Amazon.com and many platforms. I hope that you stay blessed, take care of yourself and your loved ones and your communities. For now, this is Gabe Morales signing off for Gangsters, Cops, and Politicians.